Hello, and welcome back to That's Hot podcast, all about fashion. If you've listened to the first episode, we're talking about Rachel Zoe Project. We've recently rewatched it, which you can watch it on the Peacock Network on streaming. This was a very pivotal moment, for me at least, in fashion. It's like really getting to see behind the scenes of being a stylist and the fashion world. And so we thought we would revisit that specific. We thought we would revisit that specific time in our youthhood, and this is episode 2.
Very exciting. Episode 2, Rachel starts it off with getting on Roger's nerves, as she will continue to do throughout the season. And it's kind of an Easter egg to what will happen in their relationship. No spoiler alerts here, Google it.
I guess we
They're going
can
to
do a
get,
spoiler alert because
yep,
it's
they
so
end
far
up
moved
divorced.
recently. Well, they're not
Yeah.
divorced. I just looked it up. It's in the yeah, but it's pending
Oh,
approval.
God.
But yes, they're getting
Okay.
divorced.
And she's currently back on reality TV as a Beverly Hills housewife. So you know the vibes.
I didn't know that.
Yes. So in this show, when we're watching this season, it came off as super disingenuous to me the whole time when she's always like, I have two great loves of my life, the fashion world and my husband Roger, and blah blah blah. But every time a decision comes up, it's between my personal life and fashion. Fashion always wins. So it's
Yes,
like you don't care about Roger, girl. And we'll get into specific reasons about how she always chose everything else over her relationship, which I'm not mad at, but don't make it seem like that's not what you're doing. I don't know. It just came
yes.
off like she plays like very aloof all the time, and it's not. She's
Oh,
not.
totally. But also, like, in hindsight, now it's like 2020. But in that moment, it's like, yeah, he's just accepted. Like he makes money doing whatever. I think it was like a internet business or something,
Yeah, that's what he said, but he was never specific. I'm like, how does he make this money?
right? Drug
Because they
lord.
had like a sick house in Hollywood.
They did. And but there was also a lot of speculation. I don't know whether it was after this after they were recording or anything, but now that we have the verbiage that they might have been in a lavender marriage, that he may be homosexual. I say that because I'm gay. Allegedly.
We'll find out because in some clips that I saw recently on for the Beverly Hills Housewives show, she was like hating on him because he chose to spend time with his girlfriend over doing something with their kids, and it's like,
Oh my
okay,
gosh, he's
girl,
already
you.
dating?
I feel like as soon as you decide to get a divorce, you could date people because it's gonna take
Oh yeah.
time. So as soon as you move out, how about that? As soon as you
Yes.
have taken your last article of clothing from the house, date who you want, do what you want.
So
Okay.
what happened in episode 2
In
with your
episode
notes?
2, it's brought to our attention that Rachel is going to be shot for Elle Decor. And I remember this shoot because I got the magazine and I loved it. But
Yeah.
I did not put together at the time, because I was a young, impressionable preteen teen, that she really went out of her way to redesign her house for this shoot. Like they were just
Yes.
going to come shoot like the life of the stylist, and she, of course, no. So she, I guess she just got furniture 3 years ago, and her house didn't look bad. As I said, they had a very nice Hollywood Hills home. And she's sitting on the couch with Roger and she's basically telling him about this, like, oh, she wants to get new stuff. And he's like, this is like the second time we've ever sat on this couch. What do you mean, new couch? And he's like, last time when we bought this furniture, it was really expensive. And that was the whole reason that she talked me into it, saying, oh, if you buy this stuff now, it'll last for life. And then here we are 2 years later, 3 years later, and she like wants all this stuff. But that's like a little bit of a side project because then we go on to her styling Deborah Messing for the SAG Awards. And I kind of had forgotten how big of a star Deborah Messing was.
Yes, at the time. And now she's just chaotic person online, a Zionist.
Yes, like
Yeah.
her arc had a very steep
Tragic.
decline. I was like, dang, Deborah Messing, you kind of used to be that girl. I had no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Styling is all about contacts. You have to have the clientele and the designer relationships to really make it go together and to justify you getting the samples first. And that's what we saw in this episode. Then they
Yes.
go furniture shopping. They went to Fendi Casa, which I love. They went to a bunch of Rachel though loves Missoni because she's like obsessed with the 70s. So she
Yes.
ends up getting like some Missoni houseware. They have like Missoni bed sheets and stuff. So you can see where the money's going.
Yes.
Taylor then takes Brad around to all of the places that they do pools. This is her way of trying to educate him a little bit on the job, like because he kept on saying episode 1, like she keeps getting mad, but I have no training. She keeps yelling at me, but I don't know what to do. So they go around. They went to Under G's, which I thought was cute. I remember that store. And then Rachel calls Isaac Mizrahi personally. This is a good relationship segue. So they're telling a story about a dress, and Rachel goes into detail randomly because this is what she does. The fact that they're divorced now, it's not funny, but it's like, It's not ha ha funny, but it's like funny because she just randomly goes into this rant when they're in the backseat of the car doing award show like jewelry pulls, and she's like, "Yeah, I remember when I'm in the car with Roger, and it was the day that we got engaged, and I called Isaac Mizrahi and I asked him because I had just seen the cover of Vogue." 1996 with Amber Valletta and Shalom Harlow on the cover. And I asked him, Isaac, can you make this dress that Shalom is wearing in red and white for your wedding? And he says, yes, it'll be ready in 60 days. So she even knew designers and had them on the personal call basis in 1996.
Yes.
So has she always been rich? Does her
We'll
family
we'll
have
investigate,
money?
and we'll get to the bottom
We
of it,
need to
and
know.
we'll report back.
Yes, because I was very concerned about this. Like, what do you mean? And because later on, I remember her and Roger were having a little powwow over their engagement, over their marriage. And she was like, yeah, I remember when I used to
When he
come
was a
and pick him
busser?
up from his waiter job.
Wait,
Yeah.
yes,
And I would be all dressed up. Like, so you're dating, like, was your family rich and he was poor? You was dating a poor man? Or is Roger's family rich and then he was just slumming it? And like, because you had
yeah, right,
Isaac Mizrahi personal custom wedding dress. But these stories don't line up.
right. But I feel like it's not that hard, especially back in the day. Like as long as you've had a number, like even right now, it's like if we wanted to email, who would it be? Vera Wing. I could easily just like verawing.com. Hey, can you make this?
Course. Of course, of
Yeah.
course, of course. But it's like I know that there was a price associated with that. That's my thing.
Oh, totally. Yeah,
So like the access, first of all, because back then they didn't have like we couldn't just Google it and call them like you
that's
had to know
true. That's
somebody.
true. Yes.
It was way more inclusive back then. Of course, we could call any. I sent like 30 emails out the other day for styling pools so I could go to Sundance. I sent 30 emails. I got 2 responses.
Yay.
Yeah. And then she takes her friend Michelle to Marquesa to get in wedding dress. And I thought this was so interesting how positive Marquesa is being shown in this show because we all know now that that's
Now.
run by Harvey Weinstein's ex-wife, and he was bullying these girls into wearing them on the red carpet. So I wonder, was Rachel Zoe a part of that rat?
Right. And then, because he was married to, I forget which one of the Marquesa ladies, but that's how, because like in the moment back in the day, it was like Marquesa this and that, always on the red carpet. Like, how did it blow up? And of course, now it makes sense because of like this financier and all his contacts, like getting them, because it's closed now, right? Like Marquesa?
I think so. I want to make sure we got his wife. His wife was Georgina Chapman.
Yes. Yeah.
So Georgina, when we had the Me Too movement, girl, somebody should have been calling your name as well because you were a beneficiary of a lot of his creepy antics with people.
Yeah.
So
I
how
wonder,
are
we'll
your
have to
hands?
investigate that and how, like, we'll do a special Marquesa episode because, like,
Yeah,
I feel
because
like
we
she
have
did come
Jennifer
out.
Aniston on camera specifically saying that she was getting bullied into wearing Marquesa and she refused.
Oh, wow.
And Jennifer Aniston is not the best dressed woman, so if she didn't want to wear it,
Well, because a lot of
come
the
on.
Marquesa, I remember at some point it was kind of like a watered down or, of the bigger brand. So, like, I remember at one point it was like, oh, this looks reminiscent, or the silhouette was similar to like a Alexander McQueen. It's just like given a different spin. Yes.
It was like to me, it was very much Oscar de la Renta, like cheaper, quicker,
Yes.
and if you want to say like like some sort of hodgepodge with all of the brands, like some of their most popular looks, just in like a lighter, more girly tulle and glitter.
Yes. Like
Okay.
taking what's already done by the actual like artists and designers, put it through your Instagram filter, and
Yes.
then that's what you have Marquesa.
When I think of
Some
Marquesa,
pretty
I think
gowns
about
though.
yes, beautiful gowns, gorgeous gowns. But they were more
Can't
so of
read
like
that.
the prom dress, wedding dress variety.
Totally.
And then, so yeah, she's taking her friend to get the wedding dress, whatever. And this is the episode where Taylor has her most infamous quote for me as a fashion person, where she says, "We usually always borrow from designers. We almost never purchase. It's a rarity." And she was saying it with disgust too, like, yeah, no, we would never buy these clothes.
Oh my gosh. What a brat.
Where as opposed to Law Roach, who openly always discusses his pride in like ownership,
Collection. Yes.
buying the pieces. He says it gives you more control, which I kind of didn't understand at the time when he said it. I was like, okay, control over like how they style the look and blah, blah, control over like who he put the look on. But no, it's more control over the whole situation because when you buy it, you have the item. You're not like waiting and crossing your fingers and hoping and waiting for DHL shipments and all of this, like, because you
Actually,
bought the look.
yeah, similar because recently I saw a thing on TikTok about this guy. He purchases like out of state sales old Louis Vuitton stuff. And so at
Mm.
that moment, you are the owner, obviously, of that bag, but of the actual like Louis Vuitton, because then he would take the bags and tear them apart, make wallets. Never did he ever try to sell the newly made wallet as Louis Vuitton. He would always say his own brand. It just, was in that Louis Vuitton monogram logo.
Mhm.
So Louis Vuitton sent a lawyer out, try to do a cease and desist, but because he is the proprietor of that bag, you can do, once you buy something, you can do whatever you want with that item. And as long as he's not marketing it as a Louis Vuitton bag, clutch, whatever, he's totally in his right. Anyway, so short story that he still like he never folded to Louis Vuitton's threats, and he's still like selling his wallets under his brand monogram logo of Louis Vuitton.
That's so crazy because a vintage shop that I worked at when I went to fit him, One Man's Trash, shout out to Eric Dixon. He's also like a celebrity stylist.
Mm.
He was doing that in like the early 2000s or whatever, and putting them on like those clog shoes that were really in, and just repurposing the Louis Vuitton monogram in different ways. Same thing, like he would go out and buy a big garment bag at Pasadena flea market or whatever, and make a bunch of pieces, belts, wallets, what have you. And he was sued because one of his pieces was featured in a magazine.
Oh, shoot. But did it say
Yeah,
it was Louis Vuitton or would it say it's his?
I think it, yeah, said Louis Vuitton and not like his brand. So be careful out there, people.
Because I feel like that's kind of that's the whole thing with like Dapper Dan. Like he
Yes.
would take, what was it, Gucci?
And like
Yeah.
all the logos, because he did Louis Vuitton as
Yeah.
well. On the subject of buying and why that does give you a little bit more power and control. At a point, and I noticed it immediately when I'm rewatching the season, like, are they in her garage? But in the second episode, we had a studio flood, and it's
Oh,
because some
yeah.
sort of water or whatever got under the garage door of their like Hollywood Hills home, and it got a bunch of the dresses wet. And that really just brought it to the forefront again. Like, would a person of color, even if they had that much money and that like address and all of that, like, let's say a basketball wife, a lady who her husband's in the NBA, they got a nice mansion, like a Vanessa Bryant. Would Vanessa Bryant ever open up a styling boutique conglomerate in Kobe's garage? I don't think she would. I think that she would feel like if she didn't have an
People would think
address
she was
for,
ghetto because
and they
yes,
wouldn't come,
you're right.
and they wouldn't pay her like the premium price and all this because she's got people coming down to her garage trying on the haute couture. It doesn't make sense. Like,
Also, I do want to say, because at the end of this episode, this is the one with Fendi Casa, that
mhm,
it worked for her brand just because the L decor was
mhm,
also, helping her to get that notoriety, not just for her show, for her styling efforts, but also for the impending brand that was coming out, Rachel Zoe. At
mhm,
the end of this episode, it even said promotional consideration given by Fendi Casa. So, they could have phoned easily El Decor, hey, can we do an article? It'll get you exposure also on our show. And then, hey, Fendi, can we borrow some things? Will you refurnish my new home? Because you will be in El Decor. Not only that, but you will be featured on my hit reality show.
mhm.
Yeah.
And that's very true. Like she could have pulled that furniture just like she pulls those clothes.
Yes.
They could have
Kept
taken
the
it all
receipt on,
back.
or kept the tags on.
And she did film inside the store too, like walking around, and her and Roger did sit on the couch and different things. So it was excellent promotion for Fendi. And I'm
Fendi.
sure like the average American had no idea about Fendi Casa, and they kind of brought it to the forefront. So after the studio flood, Brad gets a strike one for not getting all hands on deck and moving the dresses, I guess, all around Rachel's house to hang and dry. But again, when it happened, Taylor kind of just left and was like, I'm not dealing with this. You figure it out. And then when she came back, she acted like essentially like a mom. Like, your mom sometimes is frustrated and she has a lot of things going on. She might tell you like half instruction or something, and then she leaves. And then you do it. Like your mom might say, oh, wash the dishes, blah, blah, blah. She's yelling at you. She has a bad attitude, and she leaves. And you wash the dishes and you go back to doing what you were doing. And then she comes home and she's like, you didn't even mop the floor. You didn't sweep. It's dirty in here. And look at these counters and look at this stove. And you're like, girl, that's basically
Yes.
what Taylor was doing to Brad all the time. So he got a
Yeah.
couple of the dresses, like key dresses, and put them in the shower and wherever else around Rachel's house. Also, that was kind of weird for me too. Like, well, where was he supposed to put them? Because y'all already working in her garage, which lends me to believe there's not much space other places in the home. So, am I supposed to hang these around her four-poster bed in her room?
Her Fendi
Like,
Casa bed.
yeah, her Fendi costume. And they're like, oh, the dyes are running together. And why would he just leave it sitting here? And then, like, couldn't you have put the racks on, like, apple crates or something? Like, slipping them
Yes.
up off the ground? I don't know. I don't know. These people are not the most ingenuitive when it comes to it. And that
No.
also was, like, a light to me. Like, oh, these people aren't used to really having any problems to solve.
Exactly. And also, it's a concern because, like, we're not just him, but also why did they keep it from Rachel about the whole, like, the leak into the garage? And
Mm.
not just a Brad, but also, like, Taylor, why didn't she help out with it? They know that there's, like, what, hundreds of thousands of dollars of merchandise from different brands in that garage, like, your life depends on it. It's because that privilege, like, it doesn't affect them, they don't feel it.
And I think that they are very aware because I heard on one of the episodes something about insurance when Rachel was picking up like this copious amount of jewelry. So I think that they're all under that assumption and that knowledge of like, oh well, we borrowed all of these things and it's
Yes.
insured, so it's like not my problem. Like they're not gonna take it out of my paycheck. It's just gonna be Rachel's reputation that gets damaged if something
Yes.
happens. So it's like that's why she's always like on pins
Yeah.
and needles. Like she needs to take a damn Xanax or something. And everybody else is kind of chilling. Then at one point, because the dresses get damaged, and then I kind of did feel like some of this was fake drama. Like by the time we get to episode 2, because it's like, okay, y'all have to make some sort of problems unless there won't really be any like guts
Reason for
to the
people to
show. I don't
watch.
know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're just interested in seeing like the outcome of it, but I guess they do have to make it a little bit more dramatic. The dresses that Brad begged for to save the day get delayed due to weather, and Rachel says if Taylor was there, she would have known that they needed to come WorldNet, they needed to come Markin, or they need to be hand delivered. Taylor would have known that, and it's like, dang. So I
Like,
don't know
how
what
would he have
WorldNet
known?
is. And
Yeah.
exactly. And he's from New York and he's coming to LA. So how does he know how y'all do things? Especially if they had like a fashion week up there and they wanted to pull items, they could just take them immediately. That was another thing that I didn't understand. And maybe you could give some insight to that because you like know a little bit more about fashion stuff. When you're going to do pulls, or for them specifically, when they're going to do pulls, why are they not taking the stuff directly with them when they leave? Why are they like, oh yeah, so and so will be back in an hour, or oh yeah, you're gonna send them to me, right? And leaving. Take them now.
Yes, because I remember at some point whenever I was working out in California, it was just H&M, but they did a studio pulls. So at some point, a fashion stylist, but at this point, I think there were times people would wait, but also people would come back because as the store or whatever, you would then, you're accountable for all that stuff, the merchandise. So you have to like check it out of your inventory and system and assign it to like where it's going. And so it's like in this in between because we still have to account for it, but it not as a sale because, the store's not making sale. But yeah, so they're just like lazy. They don't want to like wait. And I guess their time is valuable, allegedly. So a store has to like take it out of the inventory, but still account for it. Like XYZ is missing because it is with like Rachel's. This is what they're responsible for. And I'm sure they also have to, because, if they do have insurance, that they have to make sure, because like it's on both Rachel, but also on this sales associate, It's like, I'm not gonna be responsible for this. Like, whether or not Rachel Zoe takes care of it, it's like, that's up to her.
Okay. Okay. And then at some point, Roger tries to help calm Rachel down because the dresses are allegedly lost in Tennessee due to inclement weather. There's a flood and raining in LA, hence the flood in the garage where the clothes are.
Mm,
And she says hero dress. Like, yeah, we have dresses, but not the hero dress. And it's like, you're explaining this to a guy. It's already like you're doing kind of a lot. Like, I don't really like it when guys talk to me about sports. I get
mhm.
that. Charlie Brown, like, because you could say all of this, but like, what is it going to do for me? What is it going to change for me? Nothing. You're just saying stuff. Like, it's like a pilot telling us how he's flying the plane while we're in there. We don't care. Like, just do the job. So she's talking to Roger about this, and he's like, hero dress, like superhero. And she's like, don't do that. I don't like when you
Don't
trivialize my
trivialize.
work.
Yes.
You have the most trivial job.
It's so true.
You are the person, and I think that's what gives fashion a bad reputation. And we heard about this in the first Monday in May documentary from Anna Wintour's daughter when she was saying that, like, that's why she don't like fashion people because they act like
Oh,
everything is the
September
end of the
issue.
world.
Yes.
And it's like, damn, that's really true because you guys are having a hemorrhage
Yes.
over this, and it's like just pick another dress. It's not that deep. And then I guess the FedEx thing was like a whole trick for the show, like to give drama because then the dresses automatically show up, and then Taylor
Magically.
calls in sick, which was like, you're calling in sick?
Yes. And that was even more drama, manufactured drama because allegedly she's calling in sick, but then she still wants to like be there and be a trooper and she shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So it was like, it seems like she did a lot of things for attention. And
Yes.
this is the episode where I realized Taylor is kind of jealous or feeling threatened by Brad's previous job because
Yes.
he comes from Vogue and like a little bit more of an illustrious fashion history. And I don't know what Taylor was doing before her 3 years where Rachel's up. Maybe she was working on, she said she worked for like stylists though. So maybe it was music video stylist or whatever, giving her attire. But it seemed like she really had a real problem with Brad and like a jealousy that Rachel wanted him there and that she liked him like as a friend. Which was like, girl, it's giving hater. Do you have anything else that you took from this episode or that you would
Not
like
this
to?
one, but I do wanna ask you, who is Joy Bryant?
Okay, Joy Bryant, who is one of Rachel Zoe's top clients during this time, she was like a black it girl back in the day. I don't know who I could compare her to because her rise and stuff was like a little bit odd. I guess I could compare her to like a Cindy Bruna right now because she was like a black fashion girl. She was a model. And then she did like a foray into acting, and she was in Antoine Fisher. She was in
Mm,
Honey. What other thing was she in that is like notable? She was in Get Rich or Die Trying, Welcome Home Roscoe Jenkins, The Skeleton Key. So early 2000s, she was in the hip opera Carmen with Beyonce.
didn't it's been a long time since we've visited that.
So from like
Yes.
2001 to 2012, 2013, Joy Bryan was on a run. I guess she's like a Regina King, but Joy Bryan is not funny though. She's just like a pretty girl, pretty black girl. Yes. And Rachel Zoe always had her like, I guess, well dressed for the time period. Some of the looks very much gave 2008, and you could tell.
Yes. And also, do you think not just her, but also, her legion of, people on the team,
Hmm.
they didn't know how to style black hair?
No, but also I wasn't really putting that on their team because that was one of my notes from episode one. Joey Bryant, beautiful, but sadly the hair is never done. Because
Yay!
she was showing up there with the hair not done. So you didn't care. Because I'm a regular black girl. I've been a black girl this whole time, my whole life, before I met Rachel Zoe. I was a supermodel and they wasn't doing my hair either. So I understand what it comes with. And she was always pulling up with a blowout. So you didn't care. Like you didn't want to slick your edges. You didn't want to put it in a bun. You didn't want to do some curls. You didn't want to do a French roll. Nothing. You knew these people wasn't gonna come. Look at their hair, first of all. Look at the hair in here. And
Yes.
they got white girl hair. So if they can't comb their hair, what do you expect them to do for you? Sometimes though, and all my girls on the internet will know about this hard wig, soft life. So as a black girl, when you want to be associated with certain type of socioeconomic group, you might not come with your hair like this because it does not give authentic black girl. This gives a little bit more of a racially ambiguous, but it seems like the white men with that money on them, they like a real black girl, fuzzy edges,
Really?
frizzy hair. Yeah, like they like that. They want to know the natural you because they're already doing white girl hair. So they don't really care about it. But you come in there with that blowout and with your edges in your kitchen a little nappy, you might catch a baller. And I feel like that's what Joe Bryan was doing. I'm just saying.
Oh, nice. She knows what she was doing. Yeah, because she's
Hard wig,
fallen off
soft
as
life.
far as, like, relevance. Because when I was watching these episodes, I'm like, "I know she's somebody at this moment, but I'd never seen any of those movies. Well, except for Hip Hopera.
Hmm. The
I've
hip
never even seen
opera.
Honey. Weird.
Oh, you haven't seen Honey? I feel like that would
I'll
have been
watch
right up
it
your
this
alley
weekend.
back then.
I'm gonna watch it.
Okay, we'll discuss Honey. We'll review it because yeah,
Yes.
there's fashion things in that. All right,
Yeah.
so that's
That's all
that
for
for
episode
episode
2.
two. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. See ya.